how to get rid of lower back pain. How do you do it? I'm sure a lot of you have probably been to different types of treatments like chiropractic and acupuncture and massage and foam rolling and stretching and all these things that worked until they didn't. That's the sad reality of a lot of treatments, and I'm not bashing any of these treatments, but I want to give you some insight today of a way to get out of this whole mess, how to get rid of lower back pain once and for all, and how to figure out how to navigate certain types of care and plug it into a system that might work for you. Now, I'm Sebastian at Performance Place. We're in Costa Mesa, California. We offer virtual and in-person services if you'd like. At any point in time, if you want to skip around in this video, I'm going to put some timestamps in here as well. I typically don't do this on all of our videos, but I'm probably going to start doing it. And if you start subscribing to our channel, you're going to see all of our amazing videos on lower back pain and hip and piriformis and so on. We have everything under the sun at this point in time, and we release a video 3 times a week. Now, the first thing you have to figure out when you're reducing or getting rid of lower back pain is, what treatment do you need right now? Okay? The system that I put together, and I wrote a whole book on this, is called the MAP, like finding the treasure map a load framework. Okay? It's an acronym. M means modification of pain. A means activation of the support system. P means patterning movement. And then a load means navigating a load, moving a load. And I'll talk about each one of these in turn and where your treatment options typically fall within that category. All right? Modification of pain is very simple. It's modifying pain, reducing pain, changing pain, feeling more comfortable, icing, heating, stretching, medications, over-the-counter ones or prescribed. Foam rolling, something like a foam roller would fall in that category. Chiropractic adjustments, acupuncture. Gosh, I mean, there's probably a lot of these ones that you've already tried already, right? I'm not going to say any of these don't have merit, because even at Performance Place, we do offer a lot of these services, but it's filling that one category. It's filling the M category. And the M category is important because pain corrupts movement. Let me explain. Pain corrupts movement first by, most of you are familiar with the idea of a limp, all right? Let's just say I stepped on a tack here on my left foot. As soon as I step on the tack, I'm immediately in pain, and I start limping, right? I don't have to learn how to limp. I just start limping. Like, nature has ingrained a limp, a compensation, a movement compensation in my body that helps me not further step on a tack, which irritates my foot. Now, if we're having damage to the foot because the tack was too big, or you stepped on, a big shard of glass, that's a whole different story. But a lot of times, pain is just pain. It's not necessarily a damaging effect. However, it does create movement compensation. And as long as pain is continuing to ping off, then a lot of times we'll have that movement compensation. Pain will corrupt movement. And so a lot of times the modification of pain activities, such as, say, like a foam roller on the back for lower back pain, like foam rolling the mid-back and the lower back is really good, but it won't remove the tack. It's okay to just feel good. It's okay to just modify pain, and it's okay to do ice and heat and so on if it's modifying pain. However, if you're not removing the tack and removing the true threat, you're not really reducing the pain over the long course, all right? Now, most people need to fill the M category of their treatment plan, of their MAP a load framework. They have to fill the M, because it's really hard to teach someone how to walk if they have a limp, if they have a tack in their foot. So modifying pain is appropriate when it's appropriate. However, it doesn't substitute for the other categories. And so this is where a lot of people will, quite honestly, they won't get exposed to this, which is a really sad thing. A lot of times activating the support systems of the body is one of the easiest ways to get people out of pain, especially when it's not acute or chronic. When it's a subacute thing, when you've had it for a few weeks or a few months, like that's the best time to apply these things. But it does work for the other categories too. It's just a little bit more uncertain. A lot of times they'll need more M category. But the A category, the activation of the support systems, can be core work. It can be a front plank, a side plank, a glute bridge. I mean, shoot, you guys are probably seeing a lot of these fun, fancy, creative exercises with bands, such as these ones. You know, bands of different types and balls and so on. This is like, we'll call it our quote-unquote physical therapy exercises. It could be physiotherapy. It could be floor work. It could be mobility work. It could be a lot of different things. There's a lot of different acronyms out there and strategies out there to perform a activation exercise, okay? The activation exercise, what it does with lower back pain is it helps out to offload the area that we have the problem. And so if we had something like a disc herniation, or if we had like a facet syndrome where the facets or the little joints in the back are being irritated, perhaps we have a pinched nerve like a sciatica that comes off and down the leg. If you have one of those things, a lot of times activating the core, the hoop, as well as the top and bottom of the core, let's just say this is our core, it's extremely supportive, all right? Now, in the past, I used to use the analogy of a Coke can, and we can use that now. Imagine this is a can of Coke or Pepsi or whatever, and it had a top on it. This little white thing is our top. And let's just say this one it was opened, the top was popped, and this one, the other one that is a phantom one, it's not, all right? This one doesn't have the top off, this one does have the top off. Which one's stronger if I try to crush it? Okay, the one with it on, with the pressure inside, before it goes, or the one that has already been released? Most people will probably answer the one that has more pressure, the one that's not opened. And the reason is because there's internal pressure inside the canister, and there's also the walls. The walls are all the same. There's the same aluminum on the sides and the same aluminum top and bottom. The core functions is the same, all right? There is internal pressure, there's front, there's side, there's back, there's top, there's bottom. And those are the thoracic and pelvic diaphragm, which a lot of you probably encountered in some of your readings online already. This is what activating the support system is. It's activating these supportive systems. This works very well for people with disc herniations, with pinched nerves, with sciaticas, with facet syndromes, even with degenerative joint disease or degenerative disc disease, even arthritis. A lot of these things work very well with an activation type of methodology. And now we're on to the next one, which is a P. Now the P works really well with, we call this patterning movement. P is patterning movement, where we can actually help an individual such as yourself who has pain with doing a certain type of activity. And patterning a movement gives you another, what we call movement option. A movement option is another version of movement that you can use to accomplish the same task. I know it seems very complicated, but it's very easy when we apply things. All right, first one, let's just say this one is a bucket of water and it hurts to bend over and pick it up. And this really, a lot of times, this type of picking up this even little weight, this like say 5 pound weight up and try to move it about the house is something that triggers people's backs. And if you notice, I have a round in my back right now, which is quote unquote not proper lifting mechanics, but this is actually a fine movement for people that don't have what we call flexion intolerant low back pain. So what we might do instead is we might coach this person into what we call a hip hinge. We might pattern the movement to where we get the hips to get most of the load in this versus the back. And so just by doing this, the same task is accomplished. I'm still picking up the 5 pound weight, but I'm doing it in a way that's not irritating my back. All right? So we've modified pain by whatever method you decided was okay. By the way, some simple stretches you can do at home are very adequate modification of pain strategies. It doesn't have to be something that someone does to you. Activation of support system. We talked about the hoop mechanism, the top, the bottom, and the pressure inside. And a lot of times that comes from floor work, your physical therapy, physiotherapy, floor, fancy rehab exercise type of stuff. And then there's patterning movement, which is shifting load away from the area that's the symptom generator, such as the low back, and into something that's perfectly healthy, such as the hips, which you can do this with actually fairly heavy weights if you wanted to, which brings us into the loading, which is map a load framework. And so the loading, this can be many different types of things. I brought out some different objects because everything has load. This weight right here has load, all right, or that bag. That's actually, we live in California, and so we have what we call an earthquake kit. This thing is probably 30 pounds, all right? Now, at some point, I'm going to have to get the earthquake kit out of my garage, and I'm going to have to lift it and move it, all right? So something like this might be like a suitcase carry, which is a exercise. It's like a weight training one that you can help you navigate load. I showed you the hip dominant, the deadlift, all right? We can also squat it up. A little bit a harder one to do, right? We can also lunge it up and so on. You see there is another implement back here that we have. This is called a hex bar. We use it to deadlift too. It is also a load. Even these bands have load. Everything in life has load. And this is the reason why a lot of people, in my opinion, will have reoccurring lower back pain, is because they don't fully progress their rehabilitation and recovery back into normal life. They will modify pain, most people will, and they'll do a perfectly good job at it. They'll figure out all these different types of methodologies and treatments and things you can do at home, and oils and such, and by the way, there's nothing wrong with them, but it modifies pain, that's okay. Other people will go and only activate the support system. They'll do ground stuff, but if you ask them to do something that has a load on it, like the hex bar, they'll say, I hurt my back before, I can't do that again. Which it's avoidance of the load. At some point, that bar right there, I believe, is 55 pounds, 65 pounds. It is about a little heavier than a bag of dog food. At some point, you might help a friend move. At some point, you might do something challenging, all right? So usually using something like this, our office, I wish you can see it here, but I won't turn the camera around. We have all these different implements. We have different things that you can use of different weights and different, they're different bags and different objects, which essentially, in my opinion, it's almost like it's like you're doing karate. You're learning how to defend yourself in a controlled setting, all right? You're learning to navigate load in a controlled setting, and then your body will automatically do it when you encounter load in life, which is everybody will. It's ridiculous to think that everybody will, like, you can't live in a bubble the rest of your life. The last part, which is I don't really cover too much in the book. By the way, the book, everything that you might want reading-wise is going to be in the description below. Okay, I linked up everything that we have of online resources, and I do suggest that you guys get it. The last thing is we call movement variability. A lot of sports will elicit what we call movement variability. A movement variability is simple, all right? I know with a baseball, or baseball bat, it's similar to this. Let's just say if this is the ball was coming in this plane, like you're throwing the ball to me right there, I'm going to swing and I'm going to hit it right there, all right? So this is me turning it just like that. However, sometimes the ball is out there, and so I have to go like this. Sometimes it's up there, and I got to go like that. Or sometimes it might be down here. So if we're talking about rotation, look at all these different planes of rotation and types of rotation that I can do, but I'm typically not exposing my body to, because it's very hard to coach. There's endless situations, and a lot of times, my opinion is if you add movement variability to the map a load framework, then you're going to start breaking the rust off the mold. You're going to realize that you can actually go back and do the things that you wanted to do before your back started hurting you. All right? I've seen a lot of people here at Performance Place with back pain. We specialize in back and hip and groin pain. We've seen so many people with so many different walks of life, with stories from just hurting their back to having it for 20 years. We've heard, I feel like, almost every story in the book, and most of the time people will have a lot of low-hanging fruit, a lot of good, easy wins in their bank that they can get in a very short period of time. But at some point, you're going to have to encounter low, which is the most scary part for a lot of people, and that's okay. So I don't know if this was exactly what you guys are looking for on YouTube, but I think that there's a lot of quick fix videos on YouTube, and we've put a lot of fun stretch ones out and so on. But the fact of the matter is people need a framework, all right? And a lot of you will have the tools that you already need, but you're missing a whole category. You might only do massage, and then you just lift weights, and you don't do the middle. Some of you will only lift weights and just forget all that stuff. Some people will only do M. So build your map-a-load framework, all right? I think it'll help you. It helped a lot of people that I've met before, and it helped me personally as well. And so look for the books that are in the link description below. I've spent a lot of time writing them in a particular way to encourage you guys that you can get better. So hopefully this is something different that you've ever seen anywhere else. And subscribe to the channel. We'll see you guys next time.